Good morning, folks. Today is Thursday, July 14th. Welcome to episode number 153 of Simply Cyber's Daily Cyber Threat Briefing. I'm your host, Dr. Gerald Auger, and over the next 30 plus minutes, I'll be delivering the top cybersecurity news stories of the day to you and providing expert analysis on each of those stories, on what it means as a practitioner and how you can operationalize it today, kind of in a transactional way, or maybe some strategic long-term thoughts. Or if you're looking to break into the industry, I'm telling you, getting exposure to this information on the regular is going to benefit you so much in your career. Trust me on this one. Shout out and thanks to this stream sponsor, Barricade Cyber Solutions. Cyber criminals have stolen your company's data and derailed your business operations. Barricade Cyber Solutions will help you resolve the ransomware attack, and most importantly to you and to your boss, get the business back on track. So thank you so much to Barricade Cyber Solutions. I know I saw on social media yesterday that Eric Taylor, the head over Barricade Cybers, was on an airplane going on site for a incident response activity, so to an undisclosed location. So all the best to Eric and for that client who's obviously dealing with some crap. I want to remind you, if you hold professional certifications that require CPEs or CEUs, each episode of the Daily Cyber Threat Briefing is worth half a CPE, which doesn't sound like a lot. You're like, oh my God, I don't get out of bed for less than one CPE. Well, they stack, and you should be documenting it in a stacked fashion. So 2.5 a week, 10 a month. Be sure to literally document the easiest and most entertaining, enjoyable way of earning CPEs and CEUs. You should not be getting to the end of the season and being like, oh my God, I got to take like a bunch of webinars on like zero trust and identity and access management, which I'm not into, because I just got to rack up these CPEs. Just get them here. Say hello in chat. That way it's documented. It's burned forensically into an auditable record. You can send the auditor back to all the Simply Cyber streams. They're always going to be up. If you're live, love it. I see 50 of us here already this morning. Thanks for being here. Hopefully you got your tea or your coffee or your Go juice or whatever it is that gets you going in the morning. If you're watching from an international location, maybe it's evening. I know we get a lot of Asia, Australia, European Union, South America, which was more on our time zone. Whatever you're up to right now, thank you for spending your time with us today. If you're on hashtag Team Replay, meaning you're catching this after we've streamed, thank you for catching the stream. Do be sure to drop a comment just so you get credit for being here, or if you have a question and you want to engage in the topic. Also, I love representing, right? Always throwing love for Team Replay, hashtag Team Replay. I saw Poner Joe on social media rocking the same gear yesterday, so it looked good on him. Love the Team Replay people. So if you want to jump right to the news, when this placard right here turns into news instead of my face, that means we've started. We're off and running. But as usual, what we like to do here is for the first couple minutes, like any meeting first thing in the morning, we like to have a sip of coffee, kind of elbow bump a little bit, water cooler talk. Pleasantries is what I like to call it. So let's have a few minutes of pleasantries and say good morning to everybody. Hey, Matt McDaniel. Hey, Carl Round. Rich Perry, I see you. Elroy Judson in the house. I saw Pamela talking about completing her cyber courses. Congratulations on that, Pamela. That must feel really, really good. I know the feeling, and it is awesome. Ron Clarkson here. I saw Jess Bishop. I haven't seen it yet, but Kimberly McKnight probably in the house. I hope she's in there. Good to see you. Hey, Lisa. Good morning to you. Definitely happy to have you here. What's up, BSET? Good to see you. Hope your morning commute is much more enriched with the Daily Cyber Threat Briefing. Got your Kate Bush on Black Knight? I don't know what that means, but sounds salacious. Devnal Zen's in the house. Don't work yourself too hard, Devnal. I know you're doing great work, but make sure you balance that, okay? Hey, Annalyn, good to see you. Sasha, always nice. Axiom Brevity, always good to see you in the chat. Hey there, Miami. I love me some coffee, guys. I don't know if you caught the stream yesterday on ThreatGen that I had teased out But we had a good time using the Bryce framework. Oh, if you're interested in that, we just did a Let's Play on the ThreatGen Red versus Blue platform as Blue. Two things I want to share with you. One, guys, I was kind of lurking in the shadows yesterday. I didn't attend the whole stream, but I did catch Jax's coverage of the daily cyber threat briefing. Jax did a great job. You guys were in wonderful hands. I genuinely appreciate that. I want to extend my sincere appreciation both to Jax for running the show for a day, and for you all for being a great audience, and just you guys are a great community. Freaking love you. It's awesome. Okay. Oh, there's Jax in the house. Jenna Housley, good to see you. All right, guys. The pleasantries aside, let me take one more slug off this coffee here, and we will dive into the news. Oh, yeah. I hope there's some law enforcement stuff today. I do want to play that. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. I do want to hear that. Okay, so let's get into the news, y'all. Good morning, everybody.
From the CISO series, it's cybersecurity headlines.
It's Thursday, July 14th, 2022. Microsoft warns of massive phishing operation. The company warned of a massive series of phishing attacks targeting over 10,000 organizations since September 2021. These attacks use landing pages designed to spoof the Office online authentication page, stealing credentials and session cookies, even for users using multi-factor authentication. These are then used to access mailbox for business email compromise attacks. Microsoft suggests organizations implement MFA with certificate-based authentication and 2.0 support to mitigate this scheme. It maintained that while some implementations of MFA are vulnerable to these types of phishing approaches, it should remain an essential pillar in identity security.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is pretty important. I feel like CISO series always starts with like a heavy story at first. Okay. Couple things. Many of us, right, are leveraging Office 365 for a big piece of our IT infrastructure, right? For all of our Office applications, which is kind of the least of our concerns. But for Exchange, for email, and for Azure AD or Active Directory, right? Some people are running hybrid models. Some people are all the way up in Azure for their Active Directory. You can do account management, password reset, self-service password reset. You can do a million different things, right? So this right here is talking about the attack is simulating the Office login page. So this attack right here is not new, okay? The idea, like the social engineering toolkit that Dave Kennedy put out, has like a choose your own adventure walkthrough that any script kiddie can quickly build a fake Office landing page and steal credentials. Now, what's interesting here is, one, they are targeting massive amounts of organizations, which totally makes sense because of the footprint that businesses have up in Azure right now. Two, a lot of people treat MFA like a silver bullet, right? I think MFA, multi-factor authentication, so something beyond just a username and password, right? Like a 6-digit PIN or thumbprint or something. I think MFA is one of the most important controls that you can put in your environment, especially as we move the perimeter and it's no longer about network security, but identity security. So MFA is wicked important, but you should not treat it like it is the end all be all control that is going to protect your organization, because this right here points out that it can be bypassed. And this is an opportunity for educating both your IT staff on the specific technicalities of what's happening, and also your end user awareness, training to educate them on looking for landing pages not falling for phishes. So basically, there's a couple things that are happening here. One, you get a phishing email. So the email has to get through your email gateway. So hopefully your email gateway is tuned up a little bit. You have good protections. Exchange Online protection's good. Proofpoint is good. I've heard of Mimecast. I don't know if it's good or not, but basically the email has to get to the end user's inbox. Then the end user has to fall for that email and click on that link. Then they get sent to a landing page. They have to fall for the landing page, which is going to look legit, but the domain name is going to look different, right? Now, here is how the MFA is getting bypassed as far as I can understand, because I want you to take this away, because you might even get this asked in an interview, like, is MFA invincible, or how would you bypass MFA, or how might you detect if MFA was compromised? Okay. When you log in with MFA, you may have noticed sometimes there's a button that says check here for like smoother logins next time, or don't get asked this next time, right? And the idea is that it's supposed to be a balance where we're trying to reduce friction for legitimate end users who don't need to put in their MFA token 50 times a day, right? They log in the morning, they log in from their work computer, they say, yes, remember me. And now next time they just do email. I mean, they just do username and password because they have a token, or not even that. Like the token just authenticates them straight through, right? So by getting that username and password and stealing that token, the threat actors are able to bypass, because it's not really bypassing. It's like it's not going to challenge with the MFA token, right? I see Robert Buchanan dropping in here. A really nice, easy way to clone a site. So that's actually a great power tip. Robert, are you a pen tester? Are you on the offside? Because that's like a nice, slick looking solution right there. Um, so anyways, the point is, this is how it works. So a couple things from a practitioner perspective. One, GRC side, educate your end users on this, right? Be mindful of it, including your IT end users who are managing your Office 365 instance, because with all due respect, I know I crap on IT people from time to time, but like IT people may be under the impression that MFA is a silver bullet, right? So you want to educate on that. Two, from a detection perspective, make sure that you're flagging, or you're triggering, or you're alerting on anomalous logins, right? So if I'm logging in from, you know, Boston, Mass every single day, and then I log in from Korea, right? That should flag something, right? That should definitely either alert on an impossible travel, because I logged in from my computer in Boston at 9 a.m. and then I logged in from Korea at 9:15, which is not, obviously possible. Or um, you just have like geo boundaries up where you either don't allow logins from those locations, like you whitelist. I don't even know if that's politically correct anymore, but like you clear certain domains. Like you can log in from the United States, you can log in from Europe or whatever, and you don't allow logins from others. That's a protection control. But from a detection perspective, you could say, hey, if someone logs in from this foreign country, notify me right away. We may have a compromise. Okay. So this one is legit. This has, from a vulnerability calculation perspective, right? The vulnerability is the human. You're attacking the human, social engineering them. But the impact is pretty high, right? Because they're going to get into they have access to your environment at that point. But realistically, what they're going to end up doing is logging into your email and then either spamming or setting up or executing business email compromise, or emailing someone. Like, so they get into my email and then they email Jax, and it's like, it's the thread about, hey, Jax, can you cover the show on Wednesday, right? But then they're like, hey, Jax, great show. Here, I attached like a review. Like I did like a scorecard for you on your performance yesterday. Check it out. And it's like an Excel document with macros, right? Straight malware, something stupid. But like that is what is the impact, right? And then the likelihood, pretty high, right? Lots of people have Azure. Lots of people are running Office. So this one's a great one. A lot of meat on this bone.
Android malware downloaded over 3 million times. Avena security researcher Maxime Ingrau documented a malware named Autolycos distributed in 8 Android applications, 2 of which are still available in the Play Store at the time of writing. 2 of the removed apps had over 1 million downloads each. The apps request permission to read SMS content and generally seek to subscribe users to premium services. Rather than just relying on users finding the apps with lookalike names in the Play Store, the operators also advertise for them on social media. Ingrau discovered the apps in June 2021 and reported findings to Google.
Okay, so this one's interesting, guys. Okay, so basically, the key takeaway here is if you're running Android, which I'm not going to get into an Android Apple, slap fight with anyone about this, but obviously, Android, you have way more control over the device to install software, and threat actors develop malware all the time for Android. this piece of malware has been installed 3 million times. The impact of having this malware on your device is that it subscribes you to premium services. So chances are, one of two things. One, if you have this, if you've been compromised by this, you're either getting charged and you don't realize it because you don't look at your credit card statement, or you would detect it after the first month because you'd be like, what's this $35 bull crap on my credit card? This is nonsense. Let's get this cleared up. Okay. Threat actors don't care. I've seen premium subscription service like this type of attack, and it was about $35 per person per month fee, right? So 3 million times. Let's say that, only a third of that works. So 1 million successful hits, subscription service, $35 a month. That's $35 million a month. Even if you got 1 month and everybody caught it and, and uninstalled it, you're still making a ton of money. Like, let's just say 1% of that gets it, right? That's still $350,000 or no, 35 grand, right? I don't know. Long story short, this is big money. It's no surprise that they're doing it. It's also this is a Trojan, by the way. So if we want to talk, for those people looking to break in the industry, this is a keyword that you should know, right? This is a Trojan malware, through and through. It says the malware is named Autolycos, but basically it looks like it's actually baked into other applications. So you're not installing Autolycos on your phone. You're installing an app that has the Autolycos in it, right? So this is what a Trojan is, right? It does something which you want it to do, right? They said here that there's still 2 apps that have it. One's called Funny Camera and one's called Razer Keyboard Aim. So Funny Camera, it probably does like filters. I know that's really big on TikTok right now, right? So you could be using it. You could be using filters. You could be uploading the funniest TikToks, and that Autolycos thing is still subscribing you to premium services. So this is a Trojan. Perfect example. Second thing that you need to be aware of, if you're running Android in your environment, or you yourself or your end users or whatever, this would be a courtesy, right? Like this premium subscription service impact does not really affect business operations. This attacks a personal person, right? So it's your phone that gets compromised, right? I guess you could argue maybe if it's a corporate phone, the bill gets done that way. So there is some business impact that way. In fact, that's actually even better because accounting's just going to pay it straight up and you're never going to see it as the end user. But long story short, if it were me, I would find out what the 8 apps are, because they had 3 million downloads. There's a high probability that someone has it. I'd find out what the 8 apps are and just send out a blast really quick. Maybe include this graphic, right? The crazy like possessed Terminator, T100 looking Android guy, and just say, hey, if you installed these 8 apps, there's a high probability you've been subscribed to a premium subscription service. A, you should uninstall this. B, you should do a reboot after you uninstall it. And C, you should validate that you're not being charged for premium subscription services. Thank you. Have a wonderful day, right? Short, sweet, to the point, and actionable for your end users.
Or speculative execution attacks found for x86. Researchers at ETH Zurich discovered an issue impacting older AMD and Intel CPUs dubbed Retbleed, the latest in a class of Spectre-like attacks that exploit speculative execution methods with side channel attacks to execute arbitrary code. Retbleed specifically is designed to get around so-called return trampling measures to prevent branch target injections and hijack return instructions in the kernel to gain arbitrary speculative code execution. Intel said its enhanced indirect branch restricted speculation, already default in Windows, addresses the vulnerability, while AMD introduced a mitigation called Jump to Ret.
Okay. So I noticed this doesn't have I noticed this doesn't have a logo yet, but that's fine. It's got a cool name, so that'll be fine. Um, they're calling it Retbleed. Ret means return. Typically at the lower level in assembly, when you're moving the instruction pointer around, it'll jump back to a register when it completes that section of commands, or commands not the right word, but instructions, right? It'll jump back. So that's ret. And sometimes this is like actually how a classic buffer overflow works. You overwrite where the return address is to some piece of code that you control, and it jumps back there because it's a processor. It doesn't give a crap where it goes. It just goes to the next one. So that's what's going on. So with Retbleed, it sounds like it has something to do with the return address being leaked, and you can control it somehow and execute code, and then ultimately leak. The example that they show is leaking the root password, which would be total ownership of the box. Now, this particular attack is a speculative execution attack, so it's very similar to Spectre. Um, this is one of those ones, guys, where this is a high likelihood, but I mean a high impact. But I would argue that it's not a high likelihood, right? We saw it with Spectre and the other one. They came out at the same time. It began with an M. I'm sure chat knows, but anyways, you have to be able to it's a problem with the way the processor is configured for optimization and like the motherboard, right? I'm almost positive the way Spectre worked is you can basically access um, memory in the instructions because it's basically caching it off to make performance faster because it doesn't need to pull that information anymore. It's still cached, and that's if you can get into that cache space, you can then whatever steal root passwords and stuff like that. So I didn't see it as like a real high likelihood type attack. Not nearly as high likelihood as that MFA bypass that we saw earlier. The level of sophistication is much higher to execute this. This is way low level, almost at the hardware level. So this is interesting. Obviously, it is research. It is a cool vulnerability that warrants a logo. Um, but I'm not super worried about that. I'm not calling in the National Guard on this one. One thing I do want to point out is that it affects AMD and Intel chips, which is interesting. Um, I'm sure it's probably just x86 computer architecture because that's what really matters. Does it say x86 in the story here? It does not say 86, so I'm not sure. But it sounds like they have software mitigations already available that you could deploy. I will point out that the only way to address this type of side channel processor level attack is to nerf the optimization of the instruction executions at the chip level, right? Like at the processor level, which makes the performance of the chip slower, right? So there is a performance trade-off. Now, I haven't done a side-by-side analysis of, a chip that has been, mitigated versus a chip that's still vulnerable to this attack. Not Retbleed, but Spectre, and then ran the same code on it twice just to see if there was performance impacts. With the way that modern IT works, um, with the way modern IT works, it's usually wicked fast. So we're not going to notice a performance degradation, but you should be mindful, especially if you're operating in a real-time operating system type environment, like a nuclear power plant or some type of precision manufacturing where it has to happen in real time. You cannot introduce any type of performance delays. That's the only situation. But for like streaming Spotify while working on a spreadsheet, right? Carl's day to day, this performance impact isn't going to be high. I see Robert dropping some knowledge here. Retbleed and other low level threat vectors are usually targeted for espionage. I agree. The value of the attack is crippling. Yeah, so exactly. Robert Buchanan is echoing. This isn't a thing that's like mainstream. This is wicked sophisticated and would be deployed in a very deliberate fashion for a very specific objective. But it is interesting research, right? Okay.
Multiple states investigating Celsius. Vermont's Department of Financial Regulation announced it joined a multi state investigation into the crypto lender Celsius network, along with Alabama, Kentucky, New Jersey, Texas, and Washington. The DFR said it believes Celsius to be deeply insolvent and does not have assets to meet its obligations. Celsius operated with traders in Vermont without a money transmitter license and largely without regulatory oversight. The DFR said because it did not register interest earning accounts as securities, Customers did not receive disclosures about its risks, ability to repay, or financial condition.
Straight cash, homie.
Oh yeah. So guys, you many of you know how I feel about the crypto market and NFT space. I've done the research firsthand. It is a just seedy underbelly of cons, scams, charlatans, and bunch of bullcrap. Um, CoffeeZilla on YouTube. If you don't know CoffeeZilla, check him out. You may find it interesting. He does fantastic work. He did a whole thing on Celsius. Here's the deal with Celsius, okay? And this is why this is quite troubling. Celsius, their whole pitch was that they were stable, right? So like they weren't going to have high fluctuations of their coin. Two, they were not a bank, okay? Like very, very clear that they're not a bank, because when you're a bank, you have to file with like the government and ensure people's investments aren't at risk. Like they're always at risk, but you know what I mean? Like real risk, right? There's no security. But Celsius was taking people's money and giving them a ridiculous return on their investment. Like when I say ridiculous, like Ponzi scheme level alerts should be going off in your head. Oh yeah, what is up with that? Why is YouTube not I don't know. Hold on one sec. I don't know why YouTube's not flashing up in here. Let me do this really quickly. Do 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 do. I see Jax just mentioned something. Okay, let me turn off chat overlay and then turn it back on. Maybe that'll kick something up. I don't know. Um so anyways, the whole thing is Celsius was saying that they're not a bank. That way they didn't have to have any securities or assurances or anything. And then they were basically, as their value was tanking, they were buying like other like of their own coins to prop up their platform, and it was like a nasty cyclical cycle. And they basically like every other project, the people who were in charge made out with millions of dollars, and then everybody else is basically um, screwed, right? So the fact this is interesting. Yeah, I know it didn't fix it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We'll just continue, but hopefully the YouTube people are still there. Like while we listen to the promo from Cisco series, I'll open up my YouTube broadcast studio and see if I can't, turn it off, turn it on again, jiggle some wires, maybe blow into the cartridge, right? Old Nintendo solutions. The key takeaway I'd put here, this is not cybersecurity related so much, but it's interesting to see more and more regulation, judicial legislation, judicial action, law enforcement type stuff around this crypto space. I've been saying this for months, guys. Crypto space is like the Wild West. Like people do not have any type of like assurances or rights, really. Like it's a mess out there right now, and people are making money hand over fist off of victims because they don't understand.
And now, thanks to episode sponsor, EdgeScan. Scalable, automated, and continuous attack surface management and vulnerability detection integrated with world-class cybersecurity teams provide 100% false positive free alerts and expert remediation guidance. Callback.
Okay. All right. So I'm actually going into the broadcast studio right now to see if I can fix chat. So stay with me. I do want to, since this is the thank you section of everything, I do want to take a moment and thank everybody for being here. Let me see if I can fix chat. Let's see. I do see chat blowing up. Hi. Okay, it says that the stream's bit rate is lower. I don't know why. Yeah, Joel. So I can see the YouTube chat coming on. So I don't know why it's not showing up on stream. It's not showing up in restream either, as far as like in the chat thing that I can see. So there's like the on-screen chat, and then there's the off-screen chat, which I can see. We might just have to roll Sans YouTube chat, guys. Sorry. So LinkedIn rules the roost today. Let's keep going. I do want to basically thank all of you, especially squad members, for being part of the Simply Cyber community. I do appreciate it every morning when we get together. It's a big part of my day. If you are interested in learning GRC skills, I know many of you have taken this course already. I put together a GRC Analyst Master Class. Just in the last 2 days, I have received some unbelievable, very, very impactful testimonials to students who literally had life-changing events and because of the course. Now, listen, I'm not arrogant or have hubris to think that this course was the only thing that these two people did, but they specifically told me that they were in bad situations, took this course, now they have GRC jobs, and the skies are not gray. Like life-changing impact for these two people. So I'm not, results may vary, obviously, but I'm just telling you, super proud of this course and the impact and value that it's delivering to our community. So if you're interested in taking the course, you can do !GRC in chat. I'll do it right now. Who knows if it'll come up. If not, just connect with me afterwards and we can do I'll share it with you. Okay. But I'm very proud of this GRC course. Okay. Very proud.
Phishing scams impersonate security companies. A new report from the legitimate cybersecurity company CrowdStrike detailed a callback phishing campaign with the threat actors impersonating, you guessed it, CrowdStrike. Over the past year, the actors would leave messages with companies claiming to be from the security vendor, asking them to call back to resolve a problem or cancel a subscription. Once an organization calls back, the attackers use social engineering to get them to install remote access software. In an update to the campaign, the attackers warn recipients of malicious network intruders compromising workstations, requiring an in-depth security audit that requires access to the device. From there, the attackers walk the employee to installing a remote access Trojan. CrowdStrike believes the ultimate intention is to launch a ransomware campaign on these organizations and shows ties to the Quantum ransomware gang.
Okay. So this is interesting. This is I would call this a call to action. And by the way, YouTube people, I know you're still chatting. Um, you know, just stay with us, okay? Two things. One, when this said callback, typically when I hear callback, I think of a persistence mechanism installed on a compromised endpoint that's calling back to a C2 infrastructure for either commands or for remote connection. That's not what's going on here. This is actually a physical phone call back to the attackers. Now, a couple things. One, this should absolutely be in your daily or weekly or whateverly security awareness training for your end users. If you've taken the GRC course, you know that I like to do at least weekly email blasts with like wicked specific targeted messaging on one thing that end users need to be aware about. This one right here, this is one to share. I mean, maybe you want to just make it with the IT staff, since like Carl in accounting isn't going to know what CrowdStrike is or know to call back CrowdStrike. But this attack technique has been used for years by threat actors on individuals, tricking them to calling a call center where they will then scam you out of gift cards or something like that. The typical attack right now is like sending you an invoice for like a renewal for an antivirus solution or a Geek Squad renewal or something like that, $200, $300, whatever. And then you call in and they say, oh yeah, there was a mistake, and they try to refund you money, and they'll refund you way more. Like usually they'll add a zero, right? So instead of 200, it's 2,000, and then they say, oh, you have to give us back 1,800 because we accidentally gave you 2,000. And that's where the scam really takes off. So now the victim goes and gets $1,800 worth of Best Buy gift cards, because that's how you pay Geek Squad, and the crime happens. This right here, same technique, right? They fake who they are and force you to call them back, and at that point, they've got you and they begin executing their script and get you to install malware, or not really malware. You install a remote access solution, and then they come in and then they probably install malware. So just educate your end users on this attack, whether individually on this Best Buy, um, like call center scam thing, or at this much larger level. A lot of work. This is a lot of work by these threat actors. To basically go through all the effort of tricking someone and then installing something, and this ruse will take time to execute on. But I guess if you have time and you want money, it's a good ruse to do, but just be mindful of this. Okay. And by the way, it's CrowdStrike today, but it could be Microsoft tomorrow, or Mandiant, or FireEye, or IBM, or whatever. Like, switch name out. That makes sense. So here's another quick thing before I leave this. We talked earlier about Microsoft Office accounts getting compromised, MFA bypass. Someone gets in your email, right? Well, maybe they're going to spam. Maybe they're going to do business email compromise. But another thing they might do is reconnaissance on what vendors you're working with, and then execute this attack, because it's going to have a higher hit rate, success rate, because you are doing business with Accenture or Deloitte or whatever. So getting an email from them isn't surprising or alerting, right?
Honda Unlock Hack Update. Earlier this week, we covered a report from Star V Labs about an exploit in Honda's rolling code system that could allow for unlocking and starting of vehicles for all vehicles going back through 2012. Initially, Honda said the report did not include enough evidence to support the researchers' claims. A spokesperson subsequently confirmed the report's findings, but said the hacker would need sophisticated tools and technical know-how to mimic it. Honda also said that all 2022 and 2023 models use an improved system that addresses the issue.
Oh my God. This is classic. Okay. If you've been around a minute, then this looks familiar. Twitch is working, yeah. So it's just the YouTube. I can literally see that the YouTube comments aren't working, unfortunately. So hey, check this out. When I said I've been around a minute, you've seen this. So security researcher comes out, right? One of our own comes out and says, I've got this vulnerability I've discovered. Here is a proof of concept video. Here is my research. Here is all of the details. And then the faceless conglomerate, i.e., Honda in this case, comes out and says, nope, not real. Now, I think that there was a gap. Well, hold on. Honda says not real. Immediately, like a call to arms, other security researchers jump in and do this, follow the same kind of research, same attack, and validate the security researchers' findings that this is in fact. And now Honda says, oh, yeah, it is, but the new versions of Honda aren't susceptible to it. So they slightly pivot their position. Two things. One, I love this, happens so often. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but like when it does, it's consistent like this. Our community, our cybersecurity community, if someone calls shenanigans on a researcher, it is such a quick call to arms by other researchers to come in and validate the research and stuff. You'll also see it if there's like a charlatan infosec practitioner. I've seen this a couple times where someone's like completely bull crap and they're just spouting like out their butt. The community will like gather around and basically, it's not toxic, but they'll basically push that person out for being a fraud. So I do appreciate that the community binds together in these type of situations. I think it's more of an advanced control. Okay, so this is some GRC love. It's more of an advanced control, but it is in the 853, and it's definitely in the NIST cybersecurity framework 837 around response and recovery categories. But guys, I don't care how big a company you are. People that are authorized to speak publicly on behalf of the company, especially when it comes to cybersecurity topics, must be vetted, must be authorized. And I'm not saying that like a 6-person company needs an official PR person, but you should be controlling how things are being responded. Now, maybe that happened in Honda's case, but like for Honda to come out immediately and say, no, this research is not true. the Hondas are not susceptible to this. Like that is going to demand, and you can expect a response that it got from the industry, right? Same thing when businesses like the CISO series commercial that we just listened to a second ago. It said something. I wasn't even paying attention, but it said something to the fact of like 100% success rate, right? Like that's not like what are you talking about? Like we covered one a couple months ago that said it had a 0 false positive hit rate. Are you kidding? Like and 100% protection from ransomware. Like when you say things that have absolutes like that, 100%, you are opening you're opening a can that I don't know if you want to open from the security community, both on the dark side and on the light side. So whatever. Again, I hope that this is presented at DEF CON in the car hacking village or on the main stage. This definitely warrants main stage consideration. Um, and if you got a Honda, you may want to upgrade. I don't even know if there's an upgrade for this, right? Can you upgrade the firmware on the Honda? Like, I don't know. I remember when Charlie Miller did that research around the Jeeps and how you could take them over. The Jeep company basically mailed out thumb drives to consumers to plug into their computer in order to update the firmware. But I don't know if this ever happened. But the first thing I thought of when I heard that was like, dude, if I'm a threat actor, like I'm mailing, like I don't know what the attack vector would be, but like what an opportunity. Like people are expecting a USB drive in the mail and they will absolutely unquestionably plug it into their computer. I mean, into their vehicle. So like all the social engineering's done. If I can get my USB drive to them faster, they're going to plug it in. I could even put a little note in that says you need to plug it into your laptop first before plugging it into your car, and boom, Bob's your uncle and we win. But that's a threat actor mindset, not I have morals. I align on the light side, so I'm just thinking through the potential attack vectors.
Threat actors don't have to get fancy. Sometimes you don't need to be sophisticated to be effective. The operators of the threat group Moth operate a classic phishing campaign. Sending purported messages from Zoho and Duolingo, the group requests subscription payments and attaches a PDF with contact info if there's any issue. Calling in will result in the threat actor attempting to install the Atera remote access Trojan or use off the shelf remote administration tools like Splashtop. Some researchers even saw Moth using rclone. Ultimately, the group attempts to exfiltrate data from compromised systems. After that, it approaches the user for a ransom without really doing the whole ransomware thing.
Um, hmm. This one confused me a little bit. I didn't catch this one. Phishing emails request payment for a subscription. When the victim calls, the answer by a threat actor who try to trick them and install them. Okay. You know, it's like its own version of it's like its own category of threat actor now. Like we see it over and over and over again of threat actors who aren't really installing malware. They're installing remote access solutions like any um, team viewer or VNC or any of these solutions that allow remote administration of end user points, right? So this one here, basically they don't ransomware. So it's not really appropriate to call it ransomware, but basically they trick the end user into either paying a subscription for something that they didn't order, right? Which you're more likely to catch this on a business, right? Where the F&A people, the finance and accounting people are not mindful of like what IT is spending their money on. They just get invoices and pay them. Yes, there is some checking and the vendor has to be in the vendor database, but smaller businesses don't typically have those controls in place and are more likely to fall victim to this. And then if the victim calls the phone number in the PDF to get more information, the threat actors will convince them to install a remote access solution. And then these lazy bums will ask, like, basically demand ransom from them. I don't understand like why you would do that. I mean, like, or not why you would do that, but how you would successfully pull that off, right? So, like, let's say I'm Carl, right? And I install this remote access thing. So now you're on my computer, you can move my mouse around, you can open applications, right? So my machine looks haunted. I guess you could say, hey, listen, it looks like your machine's compromised, or I'm in your machine. Look at me. I'm the captain now. Pay me or not. Or I'm going to I'm gonna open your word, or I'm going to destroy your computer. I mean, at that point, I'd be like, dude, like, hey, threat actor, do me a favor. Order order some eggs and then suck on them, right? Because all I'm gonna do is hang up on this slouch, call IT and be like, my machine's pwned. Can you just re-image my machine? Like, that's a standard practice of IT, right? Obviously, if you're savvy, you would want to disconnect it from the internet to cut off access by the threat actor. But like, this is like, I mean, if this is working, it's working. But like, come on, guys. Like, this is lazy. It's lazy. Like, it's not even like, I don't know. I I don't want threat actors to do what threat actors do, but I do appreciate the elegance of some of their attacks, right? And the sophistication. And I do a hat tip from time to time on the novelness of their attacks. This right here, this is like wholesale mail order, Amazon drop shipping level bullshit. Like, what do you like? This is lazy. And by the way, like, I don't even know why I'm getting all worked up. Like, I don't want them to be more sophisticated, but it's just annoying. Like, what I don't even know what my problem is right now. Like I'm in my mind, I'm like, threat actors got to be mad at like slouches like this, giving them a bad name. But I don't know. I don't know. Sometimes I don't even know why like certain things trigger me, but this one does.
It's looking spicy.
New Lenovo UEFI flaws discovered. Researchers at Asset discovered 2 issues in Lenovo UEFI firmware that makes the machines vulnerable to buffer overflow attacks. These impact over 70 Lenovo laptop models, including its popular Yoga, IdeaPad, and ThinkBook lines. These could be chained to disable security features on the machines. Lenovo has subsequently fixed the issues for the vulnerabilities. While these cannot generally be executed by low-skilled remote actors, these vulnerabilities can impact systems before Windows security services boot, making them particularly problematic.
Yep. Okay. So real quick, and if Jason Skates is in chat right now, this one applies to you. So UEFI firmware flaw. So if you're running Lenovo, which is not uncommon for a corporate system, like like everybody in the business runs Lenovo's. Listen up to this one. I would not over prioritize this. Okay, this is not like a drop everything, but you should work this into your kind of monthly vulnerability management if you can. If you're running Lenovo's, UEFI is basically, and I know chat, you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. UEFI is basically, it's like the firmware that runs kind of after the BIOS, or it's like a chipset outside of the main processor in BIOS that runs some security services, right? Like, so the trusted, what do they call it? The TPM chip, like the trusted platform module. It has to do like the way that data at rest encryption is done of the hard drive. That way, when you turn the machine off, it's fully encrypted. Like, that's all kind of done in the UEFI. So this whole thing right here is that there's an attack that can happen before UEFI starts loading security controls. Right now, one thing that they did say, which is reducing the likelihood, and why I'm not going to like lose my mind and drop everything to do this, is they said it has to be chained together with other attacks. When you hear chained together, that means you need multiple vulnerabilities, and you need to successfully exploit each of them in order to get to the end objective of whatever you're trying to do, like total ownership of the box, executing arbitrary code, like whatever your goal is. You have to do multiple exploitations of multiple vulnerabilities, which obviously is harder, right? So when you hear chained together, that's what you should be thinking of. And also, they said that this is not an easy thing to do. They literally said like less sophisticated actors would be unlikely to get this. So there basically isn't a point and click Metasploit module for you to just pwn these things. But as Robert Buchanan elegantly put earlier in chat, with the Retbleed vulnerability, this one is more appropriate for espionage and targeted users who have like maybe intellectual property on their laptop or patents, or some type of sensitive business deal, merger, acquisition type thing. So if you're working at, just a regular company and no big deal, maybe you don't prioritize this. But if you are working in like, I don't know, um, the US government or financial services, or, you're a lawyer, you may want this prioritized just to clean up your stuff. It sounds like they have a patch fixed and you just get it sorted out. Okay. No big deal. I think that does it for our.
It's often clear when
Yep. So that's going to do it for today's threat briefing. I can't see YouTube chat, so I'm going to mods get ready. I'm going to turn on the music. I do love the music, guys. It's part of my vibe. Okay. I've just activated the music. Hopefully, um, my audio didn't get all janky. I do want to remind people really quickly, super, super pumped and super excited for this event later today. Also, really quickly, want to give a shout out to Doris.news, Doris.news for the squad membership. Thank you so much, Doris. I see you in chat and on LinkedIn all the time, and in the comments, and definitely appreciate the support and having you part of the cybersecurity community. About to get some real-time intel on whether my audio is jacked up. All right. Hold on. Okay. Sounds like I'm underwater. That's what I've just heard. Okay. Let me just finish this, right? So later today at 4:30 p.m., if you guys are interested, we're going to be doing a live stream panel with 4 international cybersecurity recruiters. Like, it's going to be 5 a.m. for Ricky Burke. It's going to be evening for Paul Charles, right? These guys are coming together for a common cause, and they're making personal sacrifices to be here. We're going to be talking about neurodiversity, not just autism, but ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, obviously autism, Asperger's, and specifically how people with these invisible disabilities, frankly, can get hired in cybersecurity, how they can turn their disability into a strength and really highlight it, and also some of the nuances of, like, when do you disclose, right? Do you disclose, do you disclose to the hiring manager? Do you just tell HR? Do you never tell anyone and hope that they don't, find out if you want to keep it a secret? Like, we're going to be talking about real things that really affect people, and the numbers are staggering on unemployment for neurodivergent individuals, at least in the United States. Anyways, this is going to be very powerful, very useful for you if you're neurodivergent, or for someone you may know that's neurodivergent. And also, if you work in cybersecurity, which many of us do, how you can accommodate neurodivergent candidates, and maybe like let's just push accommodation to the side, how you can identify, understand, be more empathetic, and realize that this isn't something that it's like, this is how they are and who they are and how they work, and how you can integrate your workflows and stuff to really support and just have a richer experience for delivering cybersecurity for your organization. Long story short, this is going to be a wicked awesome live stream. I'm very excited about it. I hope you can join us. Obviously, Q&A. I've asked the community if they wanted to record like a 30-second video and shoot it over to me, and we would run it live during the show for the panel, but no one has sent that over yet. But obviously, Q&A during the live stream is always encouraged and will be incorporated into the stream. Whew, guys, it's Thursday. We did it. Thanks again to Jax for womaning the, is that even the right way to say it? For running the show yesterday. Again, I genuinely appreciate it. Guys, Thursday, 4:30 p.m. We'll have the live stream. Tomorrow, 8 a.m. We'll be rounding out the week. Going into the weekend with our daily cyber threat briefing. If you got value out of this, definitely hit the like button. I appreciate it. But more importantly, I genuinely enjoy it when you share it on your social medias, only because I think show has incredible value and impact, right? Like, even for myself, I am a cybersecurity practitioner, so it's important for me to stay informed on all these things. And every day I hear at least one person who says, "Oh, I just found this show. It's awesome. I'm glad I found it." It's like, we've been doing this for 153 episodes. You know, I like, it's great that more people are finding it, but like, I want to shout it from the rooftop. So please share it with your social network if you think that they would have value in it. Michelle, it's at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Simply Cyber channel. So just go to this URL right here, and you will see this placard right there in the stream or on the screen, and you'll be able to join us. Okay, hope to see you there, Michelle. My YouTube group, sorry, chat broke and we weren't able to incorporate all you guys, but hopefully you had a good time amongst yourselves over on the YouTubes. Guys, it's episode 153, Thursday, July 14th. Hope to see you at 4:30 p.m. Everybody, have a great afternoon or great day, and we'll see you a little bit later.